You ever think you're buying peace and end up getting a front row seat to chaos? Yeah, that's how this all started for me, somewhere between the dream of absolute freedom and the reality of living on the edge of a suburban HOA war zone. I used to think that buying a house at the edge of a forest meant birds in the morning, pine needles underfoot, and nobody telling me how high my grass should be or what color I could paint my garage door. That was the whole point, get far enough away from everybody and their rules. After busting my back for years as a field engineer, then switching to remote work, I'd promised myself never again. No more rules that weren't my own. This house, 5 acres at the end of a cul-de-sac, technically outside the HOA development, no shared fences, no prying eyes. I built my own fence with my own 2 hands, every post sunk deep in the ground concrete and sweat, you know. It felt good. Real good. My kids even painted the inside handprints, dinosaurs, little kid graffiti. My daughter Emma wanted to name it, called it Fort Freedom. I laughed at first, but deep down I loved it. Then one chilly morning an envelope showed up on the porch. No knock, no stamp, just there. Notice. Thick, expensive paper all dressed up with the Maple Ridge HOA logo looked official enough to make a judge nervous. It basically said, in the world's fanciest language, tear down your fence or else. Oh, and compliance was bolded. Someone actually went out of their way to hit bold on that word. I thought, surely a mix-up, right? I'm not in their jurisdiction. I checked the plats before I bought this house was here before their subdivision even had a name. Case closed. 2 days later, while I'm fixing a hinge on the front gate, I hear those shoes. Heels clicking across the driveway, sharp and determined. I look up and there she is, Karen Haywood, president of the Maple Ridge Homeowners Association. Of course. Blazer so stiff it might be bulletproof haircut that could slice bread tablet in hand, 2 clipboard-carrying guys in tow like ducklings. She gives me this cold, wide advertising for toothpaste kind of smile. Good morning, I'm Karen Haywood, president of Maple Ridge HOA. Like she's announcing royalty. I wipe my hands on my jeans, tell her I don't belong to your HOA. Her smile only grows. According to our updated boundary map, your property is now included in Maple Ridge. Now I know that's impossible. I bought this land specifically because it predates that neighborhood by 50 years. She doesn't even blink, just struts past eyeballing my fence like it's an act of vandalism. This must be removed. It obstructs visual harmony. Harmony, imagine that. I tell her I value my kids not wandering into the road. This is my property. She's already tapping on her tablet. Submit a demolition plan or we'll be required to escalate. That word escalate, you could practically smell the thunder. I tell her to turn around and leave. Her eyes narrow like she can't believe anyone would dare. Then without another word, she spins, gets in her SUV and calls back, "You'll regret this decision." Yeah, I didn't know she meant it literally. By the next week, I was the neighborhood cryptid people fake walking their dogs just to stare at my fence, snapping photos like I'd built Stonehenge out here. One guy even stretches while measuring my fence with his phone, almost drops his latte when I wave. Then the first real escalation, a big red flyer taped to my mailbox, community safety alert in huge letters. My fence apparently was now a dangerous blind spot for school kids. The sidewalk's nowhere near my land, but logic clearly wasn't the point. It got more theatrical. One afternoon I'm chopping wood, hear voices. There's Karen neighbors grouped around her 2 little kids holding shaky poster boards, "Let us walk safe and no walls in our community." My fence is 5 acres from the nearest bus stop. I stroll out, axe in hand, long enough for Karen to flinch. She gestures grandly at the kids, says I'm endangering walkability. I don't live in Maple Ridge, I say. You live adjacent. Adjacent affects aesthetics. Aesthetics affect safety. That's a real quote. Meanwhile, the kid's mom is off to the side mouthing sorry at me. I keep it calm, point out the sidewalk. Karen doesn't blink. Children should have multiple path options. To cross my land. To cross our community, she corrects, standing on my driveway. Mind you, technically it's part of the easement. No, it's trespassing. She snaps her fingers at the kids for a newsletter photo, and I realize she's not just annoying, she's trying to bait me, create evidence, make me snap on camera. So I decide to have a little fun. Next morning before sunrise, I put up a few tall poles and drape tarps inside the fence so it looks like mysterious construction. Old cameras on tripods pointed outwards, plus a plywood sign, Phase 1 Perimeter Security Enhancement, smile for the motion-activated recording device. There's no real camera, just a dollar store webcam in a pipe, but it looks serious. Sure enough, Karen shows up at 7:53 a.m. SUV crawling past, phone out, snapping photos, pacing like she's at a crime scene. I wave from the porch. She looks like I've violated international law. That evening, another letter. I'm accused of militarizing the neighborhood. Failure to comply will result in forced corrective action. No signature, just President Maple Ridge HOA. Here's the kicker, she wasn't even the real president. Not that I knew that yet. I never thought I'd wake up to my house being dismantled, but that's what happened. 6 a.m. Still dark, ground shaking. What sounds like thunder, but heavier. Then something crashes, a deep, bone-shaking thud. I leap out of bed. Laura's yelling. I run to the window. There's a yellow excavator, lights blaring, already punched through my fence, through Fort Freedom. Another truck idling. Guys in reflective vests moving like they're setting up a work site on my land. I bolt out barefoot, freezing, heart hammering. Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing? One guy barely looks up. The excavator slams into another section, splintering it. I jump in front, waving my arms. You're trespassing. Get that thing off my land. Finally, the machine stops. Driver, smug guy in a beanie, leans out, says, "We're under instruction from the HOA. I shout, "You're not on HOA land." And then I hear her Karen in a cream trench coat, clipboard in hand, smile painted on like a news anchor. She says, "We issued a final notice. You didn't respond." I tell her, "You have no legal authority, no court order, no jurisdiction." Karen just shrugs. "We deemed it a hazard. The board voted." "There is no board," I snap. "You are the board, you lunatic." By now, Laura's outside with the kids. Emma clutching her dinosaur. Josh crying. The worker hands me some paperwork. Looks official, but it's unsigned. No seal, nothing legal. HOA enforcement action, all caps authorized under Community Charter Provision 12B. I say, "This isn't a court order." Karen says, "It's enough." That's when I lose it. I shove the driver, he shoves me, and suddenly we're rolling in the dirt, trading hits. Somebody yells to call the cops. Sirens. 2 patrol cars screech up, lights flashing. Officers pile out, hands where we can see them. The driver spits blood. "I'm a mess," Laura's shouting. Officer asks, "Are you the property owner?" "Yes. These people are trespassing." Karen steps up, smooths her coat, says they're performing a sanctioned removal. Cop raises an eyebrow. "You have a permit? A court order?" Karen freezes. "HOA doesn't require..." "Yes, you do," he says. "This is private property. Do you have owner's permission or a legal order?" She's silent. I hand over my deed. The cop nods. "Shut it down. Everybody off the property. Now." Crew leaves, fence in ruins, my house barely untouched. Karen's last words. "This isn't over, Mr. Randall." And I believe her. The next 12 hours are a blur. Urgent care, cracked ribs, mild concussion, police station, lawyer's office. My kids are shaken. Emma keeps asking if the bad machine is coming back. Steve, my lawyer, already has security footage for my cameras, everything clear as day. Excavator Karen, fake documents, the fight. Steve looks at me and says, "This isn't just trespassing. This is a lawsuit with a cherry on top." "I don't want revenge," I say. "I just want them off my back." "You'll get that, and 6 figures on top." Steve promises. We file suit, trespassing, property destruction, fraud, attempted assault, endangering minors. Then the press shows up. Local blog post, then a newspaper with the headline, Family awoken by bulldozer, HOA gone rogue. News vans reporters. I try to shoo them off, but Steve says let 'em film. More public better. Drag them into the light. So I do show them the busted fence, the fake HOA paperwork, the whole circus. Karen tries to intimidate me with paperwork. I turn around and use her own as evidence. Footage airs on the news. Karen's face barking orders as the fence falls, her voice, just keep going. He'll back down. Except I didn't. Fallout's fast. Emails flood the HOA, some residents furious, some threatening Karen to step down. She doubles down. 2 days later, Steve calls. She just filed a restraining order against you. I blink. For what? Claims you threatened her life, harassed the HOA, wants you barred from your own property line. Steve sighs. She even drew a new map. Puts your house inside the HOA. Can she do that? She can try. She wants to bury you in red tape. We go to court. Karen shows up trench coat plus a lawyer who looks like he specializes in bylaws and Botox. Judge asks for proof of jurisdiction. Karen hands over a binder. Steve slides up a single deed original plat map notarized letter from the county. Judge reads, then says, motion denied. Mr. Randall, you're free to approach your own damn fence. Karen's face goes pink like raw chicken. After Steve leans in, we're going nuclear. Time to file the big one. And we do civil damages. Injunction public demand for Karen's resignation. Then out of nowhere, a twist former board member Mark Brenner contacts Steve, slides over an envelope at a diner. Inside emails showing Karen instructed the demo crew start early if he reacts good. We need to rattle him. She wanted me to snap counted on it. That's our smoking gun. We file it as Exhibit A. By the time the case hits court, Karen's spinning it to the press as an unfortunate misunderstanding. Meanwhile, my fence is in a landfill and my 6-year-old jumps every time he hears a truck. Court grants emergency relief. Steve brings in the big guns, a litigation firm that eats HOAs for breakfast. Leaked messages from HOA meetings come out, including Karen calling my fence an infection and saying worst case we scare him. Maybe he sells. It'll raise everyone's property values. The final blow. Mark's testimony. Turns out Karen hadn't been elected no proper election in 2 years. She faked minutes, signed her own name, as 3 roles ran the bylaws, committee-controlled mailing lists and money, plus a neighbor's poodle named Winston was on the official board roster. No joke, Steve read it in court. But the real bombshell, Karen Haywood, wasn't her name. She was Clarissa Maynard, kicked off a Nevada HOA for embezzlement, changed her name, started over here. The court nearly buzzed. Judge hears it, grants our injunction, bans Karen Clarissa from any contact or action related to my property. But the county prosecutor isn't done. Asks for a recess. Comes back and arrests her in the courtroom. Criminal trespass, conspiracy fraud, identity theft. The newspaper headline the next day, HOA president arrested. Turns out she wasn't even Karen. Afterward, my inbox blows up. Neighbors who'd never even looked my way are apologizing, offering to help rebuild, sharing how Karen threatened them, too. Other neighborhoods ask for my lawyer's number. Steve jokes about shirts that say, "Don't make me call Lisa, our litigation queen." Within days, the Maple Ridge HOA collapses. Members resign. One blames toxic male aggression on Facebook and gets ratioed into oblivion. County audits find Karen funneled HOA money to her cousin, who never landscaped anything but bought a jet ski. Settlement comes $1.25 million. All legal fees covered, permanent injunction. No HOA can ever touch my property again without a court ruling. Money's nice, but the freedom, that's priceless. New fence, steel posts, real security cameras. Emma paints. Another dinosaur calls it Fort Freedom 2.0. Neighborhood changes. Solar panels. Yellow doors. No complaints. People finally acting like neighbors, not lawn police. Even Jim, the shade trespass guy, brings me a 6-pack and a grudging apology. Lawsuit wraps up Karen. Sorry, Clarissa takes a plea, 5 years in state prison, banned from any board for life. Her mugshot's on my mug just for laughs. You want to know the weirdest part of winning? It's the quiet. No more drama, just wind in the pines. My kids' drawings, the neighbor's dog barking at a squirrel. I stand at the edge of the fence, sometimes just listening, breathing. 6 months on life is normal, even boring. And that never sounded better. We threw a real block party, no agendas, no meetings, just food, drinks, kids laughing. Even the old HOA backer showed up. Jim faked his own HOA resignation, no one noticed. People smiled for real, not out of obligation. Emma guarded the new gate in a plastic fireman's helmet. "If Karen comes back, we activate phase 2, she shouted. Everybody laughed, even Jim. And you know what? I let myself believe she wouldn't be back, but just in case, I keep the mugshot mug on standby for emergencies. So tell me, where's the line between rules that keep us safe and rules that let power-hungry people bulldoze our freedom? Ever tangled with an HOA or fought back when someone tried to claim your land? Drop your stories or your take in the comments. Let's hear about your fight for a little peace and quiet, because I've learned sometimes you've got to stand up and draw that line, no matter who tries to erase it.